Hey there, friend. I'm Melissa Joy, and welcome to my channel, Joy to the World. I'll try not to be too squinty. The sun's still only a few inches above the horizon where it's not overpowering yet. I am a sun gazer. That's how I get my otherworldly energy. I mean, I have it anyway, but that's how I keep from running dry when I was going through this extended desert. I am calendarically right now. I'm 49 years old, and when I was growing up, there was this trucking company called, I don't know, I guess it was called Humpin', but it would have this camel all stretched out and humping up under it. So people would always laugh when they see it, but I was like that camel running through the desert going, get me out of here, get me out of here. So some of you may want to know as well how to get out of here. The gnats, y'all. So pardon me, but I'm human, right? We're here to have this beautiful, blissful, amazing human experience. No longer the nightmare, the torture, the hideous cycles that you're like, why does this keep happening in my family, or where did that come from, that type of thing. So if you're a regular and you tune in the other day, whether it was on one of the tarot readings, right, those are just chit chats too, but anyways, from my soul to you. But they were talking about common phrases that people use, disseminating the dreams, breaking down the dreams, separating you from it, being a word fall that causes towers, and not just like uber destructive, but just like they bend the trajectory. And in a mile, that's not that big of a deal. If you go a mile and the trajectory's been bent a degree, you'll be off a few hundred feet. But if you're going a few miles or road tripping or sitting on a journey and internally it seems to be working right, you don't know what's coming on externally. If it's been bent like that, you'll be off by miles. Miles. So the phrase that they were talking about is funny. As I got in my car to drive out here, they mentioned that, so I had hit this certain song. I'll give the example first. I had tapped this certain song. I can see clearly now. When it's done by the Hothouse Flowers, and it didn't come on. Something else came on. I don't remember, like I don't know, something else that's pretty mellow and chill or whatever in the same vibe, and I was like, oh, I guess I wasn't supposed to listen to that one. You know, sometimes when you're so utterly surrendered to spirit, you can miss it. There's a part of creation of that fifth element, what is it? Fifth state of matter. That in creation, we have a say in what we desire. It's there for a reason. And beginning to trust that and to commit to that and stay with that, not to force or to push. And I was like, I guess. And then, I don't know. I mean, it was already into that song like 10 seconds or so, and it went to I Can See Clearly as soon as I thought that thought. And I was like, I guess I'm supposed to listen to this then. And then Spirit chimed in. I said, there's the phrase. There's the phrase, Joy. I guess. And then they said, you know what the other killer is? The other killer is, I don't know. Like my mom would often say, I don't know, something told me. And I'm like, well, Mom, and she said, it's hard for me to recognize when these things are happening. I said, it's never hard for you to recognize. You tell me, you're like, well, I just know this thing. It's coming to me. It's called a gift of knowledge, people. It does happen. And then she says, but, you know, I guess something told me. I guess. I don't know. And I was like, And now I say it in my own life, but that's a specific one that came up in the dialogue this morning because I had already just done my own, right? So Spirit was reinforcing it with another example. And I was like, okay, I get that. So listen to yourself. How many times in your life or your goings about in your days and you're wanting to really leave the shiz-diz, the old crap going on, the confuggery, and you're wanting to get into the limelight, get into the delight. Notice when you say, I guess. And I mean, not because I say it, but give yourself permission to notice those things when you get on that teeter, that totter, or when you say one thing and then behind it you say, da-da-da, well, I don't know. And that's more of like a crust fall, like a downfall. And you'll notice because they'll literally go, You'll be saying something right here, and then you'll like backspin it with I don't know or I guess, and then drop it down, or preface it with I guess and drop it down. And you'll notice it because you'll perceive that feeling. Also, another one is, I know I shouldn't, but. Which end of the equation is wrong? I would just say the middle. Another example, so that we can see this. I had gone to get breakfast with a friend or brunch or something like that. And they're going down the line looking, because there were these little sweet treats and things, but then you go to the front and you order your hot food items, and they were enticed by some sort of chocolate donut or whatever else, and they're like, ooh, I want to get that. I know I shouldn't, but. And I was like, well, either if you desire it and you want it, receive it gladly and eat it and enjoy every bite that you so desire. Or if you know you shouldn't, leave the butt off and tell yourself, that's not falling in line with some goals that I have right now, whatever that is. I don't know the reasons behind it, and it doesn't really matter. But either way, you've now created a conundrum. And when you create a conundrum in your life, it's like an energetic field that you move through. But the neat thing is, or the difficult thing is, everywhere you go, there you are. So how do you escape that, right? You've got this conundrum going on here, which is like creating a detour on your roadways in your energetic fields. And so you wonder why certain things aren't working out, and you try and get into your mind and try and fix it, but you're not noticing they're saying it's in those little linking phrases, those little things like that. Another one that they kind of give the eye to is like, oh, that just kills me, or I'm sick and tired. Those are other ones that go in a different direction, but those are the little flavorings, the little sprinklings, the little seasonings. It's like, oh, I'm making a big pot of spaghetti. Let me put a teaspoon of arsenic up in there. Now, arsenic has its own medicine in its tiny, tiny infinitesimal doses. But don't be trying none of that, y'all. Anyways, homeopathy, if you want to know. But you don't go doing that. But why are we doing it to our lives? Because no one is talking about this, at least in a way that makes sense. It didn't make sense to me because people get all woo-woo and they get all up in the energetic vibe and selling it. But when I would apply those things to my life, I just didn't see it. There weren't the changes. There weren't the things. And maybe that's what this is about. It's just getting down into the nitty-gritty. Getting down to the cracks so that we can get out of the crack, right? Because it's smelly down in the crack. We don't want to be in no cracks like that. If you're in a crack, it's because you're hiding, and you're hiding from something. Either ignorance, not knowing, because no one told you. Maybe it's out of fear. Maybe it's that you do know and you've been living up to this time, but you would go down in there when people came around because it didn't match the modern paradigm in our world. But since we had the 2020 shakeup, isn't that funny? They thought it was going to be the year 2000, right? But it was 2020. It was the mirror. It was like the turning on a dime type of energy. But that's the neat thing here, friends. You can turn on a dime. And they're not asking you to rule and to regulate over yourself. No, those Saturnian days are gone. And Papa, it's payback time. It's time for you to pay us back for all this sorrow, misery, and whatever. And us to get into the reward, the juiciness, the ease of living this life. Just ask yourself, or give yourself, if you so choose, permission to notice these things. So I notice these things about myself where I'm shortchanging myself, or downgrading what I'm saying, or demoting what I'm saying, because you can't downgrade or demote your spirit and not take away from who you are. Okay? So it's as simple as that. If you like this, maybe put some sunshines down below, like, ooh, Joy, some ocean waves. Like, thank you for bringing us this delicious, juicy, refreshing sound outside of your voice. And if there's something in there that gets you every time, that you're like, wow, I know instantly what it is, put it down in the comments down below. You don't have to like tell on yourself, but you could just put the phrase down there, and other people will start to resonate and see it and be like, oh, me too. And as we awaken, more than just awareness coming in here, and we awaken to the possibility of conversing and dialoguing with ourselves and letting it arise and be shown, it'll be shown in our own voice. It'll be those moments that we don't have to have lessons and learning anymore. We can simply experience and welcome this and open up to these things. Hey, always remember, I love you. Bye.